Plenty of showers have been rolling across the Commonwealth throughout the entire day today, and we have even more to go. Plenty of moisture coming our way. I'll track it.
Kentucky's auditor breaks the news to us. He's launching an investigation, hoping to shed some light on why it takes so long for DNA kits to be tested in rape cases.
Come on, kids, we can beat them.
And UK fans, young and old, are celebrating the Cats' win over the Gators today. We'll meet one fan who will go to great lengths to avoid missing a game.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Well, good evening. A wet way to end the work week. We've seen on again and off again rain all day, and it's sticking with us right now into the evening.
Yeah, and most of our area is under a flood watch through tomorrow. We begin with meteorologist Jim Caldwell, who is tracking how much rain we could see when this is all said and done. How about it?
And we've already picked up close to an inch in many cases out there. You throw on another 1 to 2, which is what we expect out of all of this moisture, and you start running into more issues. Defender has been active for pretty much all day. Since early this morning through right now, it is covered from one end of the Commonwealth to the other. You're seeing a little bit of drying in extreme southern sections of Kentucky, getting close to Bowling Green, but that will not last long at all because we have more moisture that will likely sweep in and replace it. The coverage might not look quite as intense as it does right now, but we will have more rounds pressing through the area here all evening long and all the way into the afternoon and evening tomorrow as well. The flood watch still posted for all the counties highlighted here in green due to the fact that it looks like these spots will see some of the highest totals, and so far that's right on par with exactly what we have seen in the flood watch zones. Those areas have been picking up some of the heaviest rain. So the steady and sometimes heavy rounds of rain will continue out there tonight. By tomorrow morning, I think it becomes a little less widespread, but we could still see a few heavy areas of concentration moving through. But by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, much lighter and less organized as some of those lighter showers start to take over. But it will hold on a little longer for you folks out in eastern Kentucky. We will track all of it hour by hour coming up.
All right, Jim, with more rainfall in the forecast, some emergency management officials are concerned for more high water issues. Officials in Franklin County say with the saturated ground, it doesn't take much rain to make the creeks there rise and flood roadways. Coming up on WKYT News at 6, we'll hear from the director of the EMA on how much flooding they expect to see.
He is launching an investigation into unprocessed rape kits. State Auditor Adam Edlin says the kits are piling up on shelves and preventing prosecutors from doing their jobs.
Today on WKYT, the state auditor made it known that his office will investigate. They'll start by auditing law enforcement agencies to figure out just how many kits need to be tested. Kristen Kendi is at the state capitol with the auditor's plans in our top story at 5:30.
State police estimate they have thousands of rape kits waiting to be tested. State Auditor Adam Edlin is launching an investigation hoping that his office can address that backlog.
The one thing that my office is well prepared to do is obviously count. And we're also very good at looking at processes that perhaps aren't working as well as they should and making recommendations for how they can run better.
In a Kentucky Newsmakers interview, Adam Edlin reveals his office will start contacting every law enforcement agency and start adding up numbers, trying to figure out how many rape kits sit on shelves, how many cases are prosecutors waiting to try.
Mark my words, I think that there will be a significant number of hits against the database, and I think there will be a significant number of indictments and new prosecutions as a result of clearing up the backlog in Kentucky.
Commonwealth Attorney Ray Larson says rape kit results are often at the mercy of the state's crime lab.
They have a limited number of people that can examine these rape kits, and shame on us for not funding our crime lab to the extent that it ought to be funded.
State police claim funding's always been a problem. So is the number of cases the crime lab is expected to process. State police told us in a statement the number of cases submitted for DNA analysis has almost tripled in 10 years as the law enforcement community recognizes its utility in more than just homicide and sexual assault cases. A large portion of our cases submitted for DNA are burglary cases.
Once the state knows just how many kits are sitting on shelves, Edlin says they'll go after federal funding to try and pay for the processing of those kits. In Frankfurt, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
State police also attribute the delay in testing to the amount of time it takes to bring on new analysts. They say that they often train for close to 18 months before working cases.
A Fayette County grand jury could be handling the case of a man accused of shooting a Lexington 9-year-old next week. Alberto Contreras was arrested in West Virginia. He'll have an extradition hearing on Monday. Contreras is charged with assault. On Saturday, Lexington police say he shot at an SUV on Hollow Creek Road, hitting the boy in the neck. The boy's family says he is still in critical condition.
A man wanted for at least 2 robberies has been caught. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Franklin County. Frankfort police say that Travis Tucker is accused of walking into the Burger King on Hudson Hollow Road last month with a gun and demanding cash. Police tell us a tip led them to Tucker. But while they were tracking him down, they found out that Winchester police had already arrested Tucker for a robbery there. Frankfort police spoke to Tucker and say he admitted to robbing the Burger King. In Nelson County, a man is in jail after a violent home invasion. Deputies say that Demetrius Watkins forced his way into a home about 4:45 this morning. We're told the 2 people inside the home suffered minor injuries after a struggle with Watkins. Watkins is also accused of grabbing a small child, but the child wasn't hurt. The residents were able to get a description of the car, and deputies arrested Watkins. And in Laurel County, a man was seriously injured after he lost control on the wet roads. Deputies say that 41-year-old Frank Hinkle was speeding on Interstate 75 north of London when he lost control and his car hit the concrete barrier. He was taken to Laurel County Hospital. Deputies tell us that Hinkle was under the influence when he crashed and faces DUI charges.
Kentucky continues its pursuit of perfection. UK rolled to its 32nd win today after beating Florida 64-49. The Cats move on in the SEC semifinals tomorrow, where they'll play the winner of the LSU-Auburn game. But while the Big Blue Nation is celebrating, for one fan, today's win was extra special. Faye Sears is a resident of a Somerset nursing home, but she tells us she never misses a game. Phil Pendleton introduces us to Sears and her passion for Kentucky basketball.
Inside room 10 of the Somerset Nursing Home and Rehab Center,
And I hope they win today. They better.
Faye Sears sits, anxiously awaiting Friday afternoon's UK basketball game.
They're going all the way.
Faye says she can remember games 50 years ago, but this year...
And your favorite players this year are who?
The Harrison twins.
That's right. That's right.
They're wonderful.
Watching UK gives her something to look forward to, but today she had to resort to the radio play-by-play.
I listen at them and I watch them sometimes.
Her family says Faye never misses a game.
Come on, kids, we can beat them.
She can tell you about having to drive great distances just to pick up radio signals decades ago. See, Faye has followed the Cats all the way back to Adolph Rupp. Next month, she hopes to celebrate another national title.
Are we going to win it all this year?
Yes, we are.
And her birthday when she turns 105 years old in Pulaski County.
Number 1, aren't they?
Yeah, they're number 1.
Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
That is one special fan. Faye Sears tells us that she enjoys the Harrison twins because she also has twin boys who were basketball players as well.
He was their trusted financial advisor, but he is now in jail for stealing millions. As you will see, there is a lesson to be learned from this swindle and betrayal.
This man was like a brother to me. You know, he treated us like we were family.
He is Gary Martell, a con man who stole millions of dollars from his clients. This woman, who was a victim as well as an employee of Martell, has asked that we not show her face. She not only lost her own savings, she encouraged her family, including her sister, to invest with Martell.
I guess I was very naive. I never, I went with the word of mouth. My own sister, her boss, and a nice gentleman. So I think we were so blindsided.
Both women say Martell made them feel important and took a special interest in their lives and their family.
He would be so welcoming. He would be so charming. He would be so involved in whatever you had to say at the moment. My mother was ill. He would talk just about her, and we're going to get a prayer line going, and just if you need anything, call us anytime.
They are both devastated and angry.
He didn't care about my children. He didn't care about my sister and her boys, her family. The only person Gary cared about was Gary.
He was a smooth talker, so anything he said, people would believe him.
Postal inspectors say Martell had a legitimate investment background and knew what he was doing.
They get these statements every month, kept them on a regular basis, showing that they made money, where in actuality, there was no money.
Victims lost $3 million.
They were saving for college, and they thought this would be a quick way to earn more money so they'd have money for school. He just drained it all. They had nothing left.
These sisters admit they were naive. Next time, they'll do more research on exactly where their money is going. But in the meantime, their financial loss is impacting their lives.
I don't trust people like I used to. I'm more guarded now. I feel like our family suffered because my personal investments are gone, and everything that my husband and I wanted to do when we had kids, the traveling, giving them this and that, you know, now we're very frugal and we're watching everything.
And Gary Martell pled guilty to 3 counts of mail fraud. He was sentenced to a little more than 7 years in prison and ordered to pay $3 million in restitution to those victims.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Today, Kentucky Auditor Adam Edlin talked to us about what he's working on right now.
But what he's not talking about is his political future. Bill Bryant sits down with Adam Edlin in the Bottom Line.
Good evening. Kentucky Auditor Adam Edlin is talking freely about the initiatives in his office, including tracking down rape kits that have never been processed and keeping a close watch on spending in Fayette County schools. But he won't say much about his long-term political future. Appearing for this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers, Edlin says he's focused on his re-election bid this year, but he wouldn't discuss 2016 when some observers think he may become a Democratic U.S. Senate candidate. He did take a swipe, though, at Republican Senator Rand Paul, who's pushing to change the rules so he could run for re-election and for president at the same time.
I think these things are going to develop late, and we'll certainly have a good quality candidate once Senator Paul decides what job he really wants. I'm sure that the Democratic Party will have an able candidate running for the U.S. Senate, and it'll be somebody who really does want to do that job.
We discuss a range of issues with Edlin. Also on Kentucky Newsmakers, Herald Leader political reporter Sam Youngman talks about the Bluegrass poll on the Kentucky governor's race. To see the program in its entirety, set your DVR or catch it Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT or on its repeat Sunday at 10 a.m. on the CW Lexington. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will be on national TV this weekend. He's set to appear on CNN's State of the Union on Sunday morning. McConnell has been dealing with the president's request for more latitude in dealing with ISIS and domestic issues, including health care and the Keystone XL pipeline. A new map showing migration patterns in the U.S. is being circulated by the New York Times, and it shows some interesting numbers about Kentucky. In the most recent numbers, 70% of Kentuckians were born in the state. That's nearly twice the rate of Florida, where most have moved in from elsewhere. The most likely place to have moved to Kentucky from is Ohio. 5% of Kentuckians were born in the Buckeye State. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
A new shopping center is coming to Lexington.
Our partners at the Herald Leader are reporting that the new strip mall will be built near the Kroger at Marquise and Euclid Avenue. Starting in April, crews will tear down 3 older homes to make way for the stores. Construction is expected to be done by late summer.